Can you play a Dungeons & Dragons module, a D&D adventure more than once as a player? That's the question I want to explore in this D&D vlog from behind the Dungeon Master screen as a DM, but also as a player. So most modules, whether it's a classic dungeon crawl, a city adventure, a wilderness adventure, there's going to be a primary quest, a primary resolution to the adventure. And along the way, depending on the adventure, some are more linear than others. Some, like Ravenloft, are a little bit more or completely open sandbox, off the rails. There's going to be these side quests or other aspects of the adventure that maybe you missed. So even being very, very completionist, going for all the experience, all the treasure, are we really going to find every secret door? Although I'm not going to name any names, my favorite rogue that I often like to play with, he's a great D&D player. He finds every secret door. He's out there old school, drawing the map out, figuring out what's going to fit in where. It's safe to say if it's not on the map, it doesn't exist. But from that perspective, honestly, how much of a quest, how much of the adventure are you going to be able to get through and solve? 60, 70, 80%. So from that perspective, replayability or playing the adventure again, there might be some things that you missed that maybe you want to explore and play again. Certain modules are a little bit bigger, a little bit more replay than others. Now we layer over it different characters, different parties, different NPCs, different hirelings. Just there's been times I've played through Dragonlance as a fighter. There's been times I've played through Dragonlance, same setting, a lot of the same quests as a magic user. This is the AD&D rule set, and it is a completely different perspective. Even though I know what is behind that door, I'm approaching it as a magic user with 7 hit points. And that's at like 3rd level with my Constitution bonus. I'm getting ready to take the test at the Tower of High Sorcery. I don't have a lot of hit points, and there's no healing surges. There's none of that. You've got your spells memorized for the day, and then it's a dagger as backup. That's vastly different than a sword and board fighter, with double-digit hit points at 3rd level, good con bonus, good strength bonus. You've got a suit of chainmail. You're solid. 2 completely different aspects. And then, of course, a different party. Playing it with different friends. I can play the same character, the same adventure, but if I'm playing it as a player with 3 or 4 or 5 new friends, new D&D friends, vastly different perspective. So there is replayability, and there are many adventures that I've had the good chance to play through multiple times. I say, if there's something you enjoy, it's worth revisiting a few times. Now, there are 2 kind of frameworks that I like to follow. The first is, if I'm going to replay an adventure as a player, hopefully a certain amount of time has elapsed. 6 months, 8 months, a year. I've got a lot of D&D stuff in here as a player. A lot of D&D stuff in here as a DM, multiple editions. We're laying over from that, board gaming stuff, Talisman. We're laying that over Skirmish Games God Tier. We're laying that over multiple editions of 40K, Chain of Command, Pacific Ring, X-Wing miniatures. I don't even remember half this stuff. So you could be like, Fritz, we just played this adventure 3 months ago. And I'm like, we did? Oh yeah, I kind of know the storyline, but I don't remember the dungeon. So I like to have enough time elapse that when I jump in, I don't remember everything. I also want to balance out the party as a player. What I mean by that is, if I've played through the adventure before and we've got 4 or 5 new players, I want you to experience that. I'm not going to do any out-of-character knowledge. I'm probably going to, that's not to say I'm not going to interact with the other players as a player myself, but I'm going to take more of a back seat on this one. I'm going to let the party make a decision of where to go, what to do, because I want them to have that initial discovery. I don't want to be there. Look, if we go left, we encounter this. If we go to the right of the dungeon junction, there's going to be an encounter, and we're going to pick up a +1 sword, and that would really benefit the fighter. Like, I want the party to decide if I know. So I tend to be a little bit more conservative, a little less vocal on the player side if I've experienced this adventure before with other players. So absolutely, definitely, you can repeat an adventure if it was enjoyable and worth playing once under the right scenario, and if enough time has elapsed, absolutely it can be played again. As a player, as a DM, Your experiences, agree or disagree?